Yes, this is one that we hear way too frequently. And if I'm being brutally honest here, Preston,
I don't think anyone should just start a business with $0.
as we're seeing it right now, AI is making recruiters super recruiters.
Not so much like, hey, Preston, I know how to drive a car. It's like, cool, but do you know how to drive it well? Welcome back, guys, to another video. Ryan and I are happy to talk about this one because it's very top of mind. And I'm sure you may be hearing a lot of things about recruitment. Recruitment's dead. It's a horrible business. It's a horrible career. We're here to actually straighten it out with you once and for all. So for here, we're going to go over some of the biggest myths from our perspectives about recruitment most people believe. And if you're new here, welcome. Ryan and I are professional recruiters, been doing so for over a decade. Now we're running and scaling profitable recruitment agency, and we're happy to have you here. But Ryan, any thoughts about this before we get started?
Yeah, absolutely. We hear a lot of crazy takes about recruitment practices, starting an agency, and just from our view, day in, day out in the trenches, a lot of them are way off base. So really excited to dive into these here and just tell you our thoughts and our experiences and what we're seeing in the recruitment space.
Number one, guys, AI, Terminator's coming. We're all going to go extinct. Recruitment is going to cease to exist. Number one, guys, I 100,000% refuse to accept that. I actually just disagree with it wholeheartedly. I don't think AI here is to replace recruiters. AI is here to basically make us do our jobs better. AI is here to help automate the small, mundane tasks that we all hate to do anyway, but gives us more free time to let us do what we are actually really good at, which is building relationships, managing them, working with clients, working with candidates, doing placements, and making money. AI is going to help us become super recruiters. It's going to give us the insights, the data, the analytics. It's going to allow us to move 10 times faster. We don't have to be bogged down with all these manual flows and manual steps. AI is going to literally free us from doing all of that to allow us to focus on the biggest, most important activities that will help our desk, our career, our business moving forward, right? And for that, I'm really excited. And just to give you another perspective, the same thing happened, guys, in real estate, right? So if we're kind of making a comparison, real estate agents are the middlemen between buyers and sellers of real estate. Us external recruiters are middlemen between companies that are hiring and people looking for jobs. The same thing happened. And I remember watching this happen where, when Zillow and Redfin came on and then they started like rolling out AI tools, real estate agents started freaking out. And all these news articles started coming out saying AI is going to replace real estate agents. What happened? Well, real estate agents are still here. And guess what? They're more powerful than ever. They're more equipped with the data, insights that AI and technology is giving them so that they can do their jobs better. AI is just not going to replace all of us.
Are you completely lost on how to implement AI or automation in your business? Are you struggling with getting responses from new clients? Are you an established recruiter who is struggling to level up or break six figures and beyond? Or do you have no idea how to even start a successful recruitment business at all, whether it's full-time or part-time? If any of these resonate with you, please check out the Recruiter School, a premier educational and coaching program that will teach you everything I've learned in the past decade that has helped me bill over $5 million on my own desk, where I had also the chance to work with the best companies in the world. You'll learn everything from what is the best ATS to how to master client acquisition, what are the best plugins and tools, what are the best platforms to find candidates on, how do you optimize your website and even LinkedIn profile, or how do you actually systematize your workflow with the best AI and automation. The best part, we will also personally handhold and be with you every step of the way through our one-on-one coaching just to make sure you understand and implement everything perfectly. But don't just take my word for it. Since we launched, the number of success stories that we created have truly been jaw-dropping and amazing. Whether it's making 5 figures part-time, to picking up their first clients within the first couple days to a week, to now making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 per month consistently, I could go on and on and on. So if you're interested to learn more, make sure you click on the link below to book a time. Since our schedule books up really fast, make sure you reach out quickly. See you on the other side.
And I think the same thing's going to happen here, guys. And we're also a huge industry. We're about to become a global trillion-dollar industry by 2030. AI is just not going to replace all of us instantly. So if you're kind of worried and you're succumbing to a lot of the fear and uncertainty out there, a lot of it is just clickbait. And I'm here to kind of reassure you guys that everything is good. Recruiters are here to stay. And AI is just going to allow us to focus on what we want to focus on, which is, I think, really, really cool. So that kind of brings us to the second point here. Humans plus AI is way better than just AI alone, right? AI will never be able to do what the things that we do that make us human human, especially not now, or especially not anytime soon. The nuances, the emotions, the connecting to other humans, right? AI is really good with those technical, mundane tasks, but recruiters who are able to like be human and be a good professional and hold on to the humane elements and embrace AI on top of that are just going to simply outperform those who don't, right? And lastly, AI tools can reduce a lot of things from screening times to a significant amount, up to 70%, as you can see here from a study based off of Workday. But relationships building and negotiations are still better done and continue to do so by humans, which is where our focus is going to be more and more and more into the future. So, Ryan, are you scared about AI or not?
In the recruiting space, no. Outside the recruiting space might be a different conversation, but I think for recruiting wise, absolutely not. I think the biggest thing that all these arguments that AI is replacing recruiters is missing is that at the end of the day, people hire people, right? People are not hired by AI. They're not hired by agentic AI, none of that, right? At the end of the day, these companies are composed of humans who hire other humans. And so AI is really good at helping us facilitate those conversations and those negotiations, but actually doing the negotiations, doing the relationship building, that is something that AI can't do nearly as good as humans can do, and especially into the future, for the foreseeable future. So as we're seeing it right now, AI is making recruiters super recruiters, but it is no way in any shape or form going to replace them anytime soon.
With the prospect of becoming a superhero, Ryan, we might have to get a cape and start flying around the world doing more
I'm open to
placements.
it.
Number two is cold email dead. And man, we get this all the time. And first of all, guys, people use emails and they continue to use emails on scale. It's still the most widely used communication or form of communication out there in the business world. Cold email is not dead. What are your thoughts here, Ryan?
Yes, this is one that we hear way too frequently. And if I'm being brutally honest here, Preston, the people that we hear it from are the people that we later learn are just poorly utilizing cold email. Either their targeting is off, their messaging is off, they just don't have things set up well. And so I think it's really easy for me to say, okay, well, obviously cold email is dead for you because it's not working for you because you're not doing it the right way. So if you are really strategic with your cold email and you take the right steps, then it can absolutely be a super huge engine for your business. So to give you a couple of examples, spam filters these days are getting super, super, super good. If you're just sending the same email out to everyone and their mother in the whole country about your same, message, you're not checking if emails are valid, you're not adjusting and personalizing the messaging, then yeah, those spam filters are going to catch that so quickly. You want to ensure that you're not just spraying and praying, you're actually sending valuable messages to people who you could help, right? So you want to ensure that you're reaching out to the right hiring managers at the right companies and you're actually providing value. You're not just saying, hey, pay me for my services, pay me for my services. If you have the targeting and the value on lock, then cold email can be super powerful. And the next point on personalization, absolutely, this is big as well. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not telling you that you should take all day, every day, and just manually write up all your emails super personalized. Absolutely not. Maybe for a couple emails, but you can also include a lot of personalization in your emails, things like variables and syntax that you can switch up to ensure that your emails are still personalized. So for example, when I'm doing my outreach, say I'm reaching out to Preston about a role that he's hiring for, instead of just saying, hey Preston, saw you were hiring, let's chat, I could do a little more research and add a couple more variables to my emails that say, hey Preston, I see you and your team at Kickstart Finder are hiring for an account executive in Boston. I saw you posted this a couple of days ago. I actually work AE roles in Boston, yada, yada, yada. So just taking small steps like that to add personalization is going to do wonders for your emails and email deliverability. A last point I'll highlight here too is people assume that, oh, my cold emails aren't working, my whole business isn't working. Absolutely not. Even if cold emails didn't work, which as we've been talking about, they do, even if cold emails didn't work, cold emails are only one small portion of a larger campaign. The best campaigns, and we've been saying this for a while, the best campaigns are multi-channel. They have calls, they have LinkedIn messages, they have emails, they have in-person visits, they have all these different channels and touch points. That is going to get you the best results. So even if cold email were dead, it's not like your whole business had to stop with cold outreach, because cold email is an important but still smaller piece of the bigger picture when it comes to doing cold outreach.
I love cold emails, guys. I will never stop loving it. I think even if we just did cold emailing as the primary and only channel, we can absolutely still convert clients and candidates. It's not so much what you're doing, it's like how you're using it, right? Which what Ryan touched upon earlier. It's not so much like, hey, Preston, I know how to drive a car. It's like, cool, but do you know how to drive it well? And what's really more important now is that in 2025, you got to do everything perfectly, right? I think there was less pressure to do that because it was less noisy, less competitive 3, 5, 10 years ago. Now you can't just be sending out generic emails aimlessly. Everything has to be perfect, from how you're personalizing it to the subject lines, the call to action, to following up, who you're targeting. These things have to be spot on for you to get responses, consistent responses responses, and of course, converted to paid clients. But I love cold email. It absolutely still works. And yes, like if you're just complaining that it doesn't, you just simply don't know how to do it correctly. So, but I expect cold email to continue to be one of the main drivers of our acquisition strategy, even at our agency and for recruiters globally and beyond. The next one, you can't do recruitment part-time, Ryan. This is so funny because some of the most successful people short-term with great results are people doing this part-time, right? Whether like you're in my network or you're maybe doing it through our program at the recruiter school, it's now easier than ever to do this part-time. Whether you have 5 kids, whether you have 2 other businesses you're running, whether you have a full-time job, you name it. All of these scenarios are within our program, but also people that we know of, right? And they're still crushing it because the technology just makes it so dang easy. When I started, everything was fully manual. It was also a lot more expensive and you really just had to be on top of everything. It was just harder to kind of get that ball rolling. But now with like tools like Juicebox and Quill that can automate all the heavy lifting, my goodness, is it just 10 times easier for you to get started, to be able to move faster, to be able to also do more while spending less. To me, it's just like such a great time to be a recruiter. Now, if you are entrepreneurial or you're like, you know what, I want to take a bet on myself, don't go reckless and start quitting your job willy-nilly and diving in full time. You can do that. For some people, that's the only way for them to learn. You can dip your toes in and start doing things part-time. I mean, heck, you do one placement in 1 year, that's still an extra $20,000 to $40,000 in cash minimum in your pocket on top of a full-time salary. That's a full-time income right there. Imagine doing 2 of those. Now you have what? About $50,000, $50 to $60,000 to $80,000 in cash on top of your full-time salary. So no need to also think about, oh my God, I have to like make millions of dollars or 6 figures. Even just 1 or 2 or 3 placements over 3, 6, 12 months is enough for people. Have low pressure and just dip your toes in, get your feet in. And then at that point, you can decide, continue doing a part-time, maybe scale into full-time, doesn't matter, but it gives you options. And my whole point of sharing this with you is it's so much easier to do it now. I can't speak the same for other businesses that are a lot more capital intensive, higher risk in the beginning. This is one of the most lowest cost businesses that you can do with the highest profit margins. And tech just makes it way, way, way easier.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And another thing I always like to mention about recruiting is that it is flexible, especially if you are your own business owner, like you're a one-person show. If you do this either part-time or even full-time, you of course have to work hard and put a lot of hours in, but you get to choose your own schedule. Now you say, okay, I'm going to take calls from this hour to this hour and even project to project. So we know people who recruit for about 6 to 9 months a year, and then they take 3 to 6 months off, right? It really is the beauty of recruiting, especially as the world is getting more outsourced and companies are putting more emphasis on third-party recruiting agencies. You are able to really flex your recruitment time to whatever your schedule decides. So no matter if you are doing this full time and you want to do this 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, or if you only have 2.5 hours a day, 5 days a week, there are ways to make it happen. And as Preston mentioned too, the tools that are being released each day in this recruitment space are only making it that much easier. So the excuse that, oh, I can't do this full time, I can't do this part time, I don't have the time for this, 9 times out of 10, that's not based in fact. And there are a lot of people who have even less time than you to do this who are absolutely crushing it. So do not let I can't do this part-time be a reason you don't dive in.
Yeah, we know people who are devoting 1 or 2 hours max a day, still crushing it and moving forward, And if they can do it, you can do it too. And it's not about what you do during the business day. It's like, hey, do you have time in the mornings, evenings, weekends? Like you can just make it happen, right? And you'd be kind of surprised to find pockets of time to help you execute on the side. The next myth and excuse that we hear a lot is, I just need experience. And if you think that you always need experience for any business, 90% of businesses would just never get started on a daily, weekly basis, right? But when it comes to recruitment, you absolutely don't need prior experience. Will it help? Absolutely, especially if your previous experience was good. But the most important reason why new recruiters who are starting their side hustles or agencies can still get new clients is it's all about like execution, but also the perception, right? Companies will give you a chance if they feel like you can actually do a good job. And if you approach them professionally, you know exactly how to like market your candidate or yourself or your agency, you know exactly what to say and how to say it, and you're coming off really professional. As we talked about with the growing demand of recruitment globally, there's more pressures on internal recruitment TA teams to find good partners to help them find the best talent, because typically they're underwater and typically they're responsible for 30, 40 roles at a given time, which is very, very stressful. They're desperate to find good people. And all it takes is for you to be able to just approach them correctly. Now, if you approach them incorrectly, absolutely you can start burning bridges. It would be very difficult for you to have another conversation with them. But if you learn how to do things correctly and you execute, absolutely the chances are plentiful across all market and niches. What's also really cool is that that there's now an abundance of activity, or a lot more now than 3 years ago, of different platforms that are just also leveling the playing field. ATSs and sourcing tools allow you to be able to replicate veteran, really established processes from day one really quickly and very cheaply, right? And so again, you absolutely don't need experience. I think what you do need is coachability, being able to be open-minded, being able to like learn and being able to move very, very fast, understanding how to communicate, put all that together. You have a chance, like with anyone else, to be able to start a successful business from day one.
Exactly. And I think folks who really say this one a lot are prone to just getting in their head and thinking like, oh, I can't do this. I don't have experience. And people are going to ask me all the time, what experience do you have? When in reality, they're probably not going to ask that. As you can see on that first bullet point, what does a hiring manager care about when it comes to choosing which recruitment agency to go with? Do they ask, oh, who has 17 years of experience for 7 years of experience for 7 minutes of experience? Or do they ask, who can get me the best candidates now? And if that is you, regardless of how much or how little experience you have, you are going to win business. Yes, of course, here and there, some people might ask, oh, you've only been recruiting for XYZ amount of time. Like, why is that? And, it's best to be prepared for that question. But that is exactly what you do. You be prepared for that question. You don't just stop and not do the business at all. So not having experience, while it may seem like this big blocker in your head, I felt that in the past, it absolutely is not one in the real world, especially when you're talking to a lot of clients and companies. All they care about is getting the best candidates and getting them in as soon as possible. So as long as you can do that, not having experience doesn't matter that much.
Another myth that we hear about a lot is, I just need a lot of money to start. And I totally understand where people are coming from, because typically you would need to have some sort of capital savings to start a successful business. Like let's just say you want to start a McDonald's franchise. Some of them you need at least $1 million to do that, right? The good news here is that starting a recruitment business is much more affordable than a McDonald's or Dunkin' Donut franchise, guys. It's one of the most affordable businesses that you can actually start. I know this because that's how I started. When I started 10 years ago, I literally had no money. I had to borrow my fiance's credit card. And from there, I was able to get started, get that momentum, and really push that rock up that hill for me to be able to kind of get past that first big hump of doing my first placement and reinvest, rinse and repeat until I was able to survive now 10 years later, right? With recruitment, you don't need a fancy office. You don't need to hire people. You literally just need a functioning laptop, internet, and a phone. That's it. No need to worry about a business phone line. No need to worry about, I need more like business monitors and things like that. Keep it scrappy and lean. I mean, from shooting this right now, the same table is the same IKEA table that I started my business 10 years ago. The chair behind me is also IKEA. Like, I keep things as lean as possible, because if you want to maximize the chance of success and to keep going, you don't want to just spend frivolously, right? And so it's one of those things where you just need so little to get started. You do one placement, which again, hypothetically for the direct perm side will yield you $20,000 to $30,000 minimum. All of that is profit. You're looking at like 98% profit margins. It's kind of insane, right? Even if you had also all the money in the world, there's no reason for you to spend more than $200 to $400 a month max on tech. And that's pushing it. A lot of people that we know are spending probably $100 to $200. A lot of people are spending less than $100, right? A lot of people are doing like me, just doing everything manual. But even if you have no money, you can still start this business completely manual with zero tech and still put things together. Like, I didn't waste money on ATSs. I use Google Excel. I use Google Sheets. I use a physical notepad. I literally had no money. I used Google Docs to keep track of everything, but I was still able to make $500,000 just from that alone, from literally spending nothing. So if you're worried that you need to have an X amount, I think you don't need to. I think it's smart to have some sort of savings or capital lying around. Absolutely. I don't think anyone should just start a business with $0. I think you should at least have like 3 to 6 months of savings or capital minimum. That's the smart thing to do. But if you're like reckless like me and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to start a business and I don't have any money, you can still absolutely do that, because it's a lot cheaper, more affordable than you actually think. You don't have to worry about technology too soon. You don't have to worry about hiring too soon. Just focus on learning the fundamentals yourself, make money and reinvest it and grow slowly from there. There's also, again, so many other platforms out there, a lot of softwares out there that offer freemium or even free tiers, allowing you to be able to just get ramped up faster and to just make the whole thing easy, right? Again, recruitment, it's a lean operation. Stay scrappy. You don't have to overcomplicate things. The profit margins are so big, so take your time to really learn how to recruit really well. And then after a couple placements, you have a lot of cash in your bank account, then you can kind of be strategic about how you want to deploy that cash moving forward. So be smart, don't be reckless, but man, can you start with a little? Absolutely you can.
Absolutely. And kind of in a similar vein is when it comes to having a candidate database. This also kind of goes hand in hand with the previous points we made about not having experience, but this is one that really should not be a blocker for anyone who's looking to get into recruiting, because as you go in your recruiting journey, you talk to more people, you have more interviews, you have more placements, your candidate database will grow as time goes on. And so, while a candidate database is super nice to have, absolutely absolutely, like super beneficial. It's not a must have, right? Especially from day one. I was actually talking to someone about this earlier today, and they were asking me like, what percent of my placements come from the Canada database? I mean, I'm sure this varies recruiter to recruiter. Mine's probably like 10 to 20% max. Like most of my placements that I make, even to this day, are from brand new searches that I do, not necessarily reaching into my old Canada database. And so again, just want to reiterate that you don't have to have a super fleshed out Canada database in your niche to get started. That is really more of a cherry on top. And to go even further with that, it really is about quality over quantity. Again, put yourself in the shoes of a hiring manager that you may be working with. Would they rather get 10 iffy or okay resumes from you, or would they rather get two absolute rock stars, right? So again, when it comes to building out this database, don't worry too much about, okay, I need to get as many people as possible. Go, go, go. Better to send fewer, but higher quality folks, which again just goes deeper to the point that you don't need to come in with this already built out database. And kind of that last point too, as well, if you're able to niche down even further. So instead of, let's say I recruit for all salespeople nationwide, let's say I only recruit for account executives in B2B SaaS startups from C to Series A in San Francisco and New York. If I stay with that niche for the long term, my Canada database is going to be super valuable, but it's also going to be much smaller. And so even if I do have years and years built into this database, it's not going to be super huge. And so that just goes again to the point that even if you're doing this for a while, your Canada database doesn't have to be massive. And really, this should not ever be a reason that you hesitate or stop getting into recruiting, because this is not something that you absolutely need to succeed.
Just adding one more follow-up point to this, we also hear a lot of excuses from people saying, oh, I just don't have a big network, right? So I just kind of want to piggyback this small little topic on top of the database topic and just really just drive the point home that Ryan was making. You don't need to have a network. You don't even need to know anyone. If you're like, I don't have any friends, that's fine. You don't need friends either. Just start a recruitment business. You don't need that or a database, because chances are if you do this correctly, you niche down, you specialize in a specific role, you find locked down clients, and then you start brand new searches to fulfill those, right? And so most of the time when I started myself, I didn't know or have a pre-existing database, but you build one over time and it gets bigger and bigger and more valuable to you as you add more candidates to it. So do not let the lack of friends or a network or a database stop you. You do not need that to get started. You just need to like work with the right client, get the right jobs, pick it up correctly, understand the criteria, and then know exactly how to do effective searches. And then from there, in turn, over time, you then start building your database secondarily, right? So no need to fear, guys. Just take action and get started. So just to kind of recap everything, again, we touched on a lot of different myths here. We can, of course, talk about a lot more, but these we feel were particularly very, very important. No, AI is not here to replace us all. Cold email is not dead. Keep doing it. It's all about making sure you do it correctly. You can absolutely do this part-time. Recruitment can be an amazing side hustle in addition to a full-time job. You don't need experience. You don't need a lot of money, and you don't even need a canned database or network on day one. So what's stopping you guys? Take action. The year is almost over. Create momentum for yourself right now. It's such a great time to not only start a recruitment business, but most importantly, to bet on yourself, right? And I think if you've never done it, life goes by fast. Take the plunge and let's just see how you crush it. So if you think that we left anything out, please comment down below. Ryan, any last thoughts?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's no reason not to get into recruiting right now. So it's a great space to be. And hopefully I see you guys out there.
Don't let us stop you guys. Take action and execution. That's everything. But good luck. We want to hear from you. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.